So we're here live now at Intermodal for another episode of Craft Talks with two of our most remarkable people, our two Brunos, Bruno Crelier and Bruno Barbi. Bruno Barbi is the head of LCL at Kraft United States, and Bruno Crelier is our managing director. Yes? Bruno is the father of three children,
three children,
and Barbi is the father of two children.
Yes.
Yes. Well, just to say that they have, both lives going on. Yeah? So it's been now 5 years already that Kraft has stepped in the U.S. for the first time, and here we are in the largest fair in the Americas, talking about, well, at least in Latin America, right? And we are here listening to all these people around, which, by the way, I think it's brilliant the way that we're kind of surrounded by everyone, isn't it? Yeah. And we were here just talking about, it's been 5 years. So what does it mean for a neutral consolidator of LCL as Kraft, a Brazilian multinational, being in a market like the USA for the past 5 years for you guys?
Well, for us, it's been a journey. It was a fantastic journey. It's like you go into the largest amusement park that you can be, right? So the beauty of US has been that because once you enter that market, it is a continental country. So you cannot be only in Miami, you cannot be only in New York. You have to be all over the place because the cargo in South America, most of the populations are in the border, 200 kilometers from the border, but in US, no. They occupy the whole territory. So you have to be in the whole territory, collecting freight and delivering freight. Because they will never bring the cargo from Wisconsin to New York or Wisconsin to Chicago for you. You collect in Wisconsin. You have to be there. You have to be local there. So that was fantastic. It was an experience. We opened 5 offices at once, and also you need the hubs. You need to collect this freight and you need to consolidate it. So you have to be in multiple warehouses in LA, in New York, in Chicago. So the dynamics it's totally different than a regular operation. So it's fantastic.
It's amazing that this is the country where starting small is starting with five offices at once, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's very well put, actually. Very good.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the feeling that we have after 5 years in our belt in the US is the change of how you feel about the business. In the beginning, a little bit of it's intimidating when you come to a country where you have all the intermodals connecting. So you have the trucking, you have the rail, you have the barge, and all these different ways of connecting freight. And then, of course, the continental size of it, and the need of being present in all these different places, and that feeling of the enthusiasm about the opportunities in the country is so great that you don't even know where to start. Like, where should I tackle first, right?
Yeah.
And it's fantastic, a very interesting part is after 5 years, we feel like we're still small.
Yeah.
Right? We are still growing, we are still learning. So it's fantastic. It's very good.
You had this first explosion, but I recall you saying, Bruno, very vividly that we were there based on 3 main pillars, right?
Yes.
So we set foot on the ground. It wasn't just, let's start whatever. No, you set really the foot on the ground. What were those pillars for you?
Well, we are in the global arena as a neutral VOCC as a part of a global association, which is the GCA, Global Consolidators Alliance. And we always understood that the world for the neutral consolidator is based on at least 3 pillars. You have the Asia, you have the Europe, and you have the Americas, right? So we were there representing South America very well. We expanded to all the countries, basically all the countries in South America. We had the partnership with GlobeLink, which is our agent in Asia, and GCA supports us there. We have a very good and solid today network in Europe, but then we were the Americas. Now when I was in first time opening the office and say, now Kraft is Americas, is the 3rd pillar. of the global arena of the NVOCC, new to NVOCC world. So yes, we need to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And usually what we see is, especially when you're attending, I mean, we started focusing on our own business, right, in South America. So it would be rather common to just say, okay, we set foot in Miami first as the main hub, and then we go elsewhere, right? But no, you thought larger from day one, right?
Yes, I lived in the United States prior in my previous life, so I understood, and I shared with the you guys, the board of directors of Kraft, that if you want to go in and be a relevant player and have a chance, you need to be nationwide. Because, as I said, the population in US, manufacturing, distribution, everything is spread out. It's not like you're only in the part by the sea. So you have to reach out to all the country, right? So we need to open the 5 offices, because LA is 5 hours from New York on a time zone. So I need an office that wakes up with the guy in LA and a guy that goes to bed with the New York guy. So those, and you have to operate it, everything. You have to make sure you collect the freight, the small parcel, right? The small freight, because we are new to consolidator. 1 pallet for us is gold, right? Yeah. So we need to collect that pallet and treat it like this is the best cargo in the world. Yeah. So we brought it because it is.
Do like the small
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think additional to that is also the vision of the business, right? So if we go to the US and we set ourselves up in Miami, that creates limitation. We are a South America player. Mm-hmm. We came from South America, of course, we're proud of it. But the moment we decided to step in America, we're looking at a global provider. We are looking at the Europe business. We are looking at the Asia business on those 3 pillars. So it would make literally no sense for us to put that limitation into our business in the United States.
And once you set foot in there with that global vision that you have, I mean, global within the US, but then global again for the connection with the rest of the world, as you were saying. What did you identify as the main pain points? You know, that you set foot there and said, you know what, maybe there's one thing that is missing, a couple of things that could be better in this market. What were the first things you identified when you set foot there?
Well, for me it was the US is so large that is a place of scale, is a business of scale. So everything is too big. Everything is too large, it's too expensive, it's too everything. But how about that small guy? How about the mid-sized small guy? Does he have access to CSX railroad to move the cargo from the Midwest to the port? No. Does that guy has access to the major global steamship carriers? No. Oh, come on. We have to help them, right? That's what Kraft is made of. We're all made of small, mid-sized friends, and we help them out. Yeah. So the first thing we got is we have to help them out, right?
Yeah.
So we have to get the cargo flowing, no matter from where to where. We have to help them out. Yeah. That was my feeling, my take. Yeah.
For me personally, at first I was mesmerized of how they are able to make this beautiful intercontinental rail, the trucking and all of that works. But at the same time, the information was not reaching the customers. The lack of information and the lack of access to what they needed to provide service to their clients was just not available. So it's just incredible in the US, the difference in terms of technology and what is available in the market versus the quality of the information that's being provided and the accuracy of that information. So to me, has always been on not only how to move the freight, but how to provide quality information, how to be accurate, how to be assertive in the communication with my clients and allow them to service their clients. I think that was nearly non-existent.
And proactive, because we clearly understand that our customer is an intermediary. So he has a final customer and he has to always keep abreast of what's going on, right? Yeah. So our speed to communicate has to be faster than everybody else, because I need to communicate to him so he has time to communicate to the final customer in a way that is still manageable. So that is something that relates to what Bruno is saying.
When I listen to you guys, and I keep thinking how we're very much, our culture talks much about being against, the know-it-alls. So you guys just went in there and you decided to be a learn-it-all, right?
Yes.
Let me learn about what is needed here, right? So that was a very humbling experience at first, but then the way that you guys really understood by listening, by educating yourselves, was really something quite magical to see, right?
Yeah, thank God we're still learning.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's
We
what
learn
makes it
every
exciting.
day.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what makes this business so attractive to me.
Yeah. Up until today, I remember the founder of Craft, until today, his WhatsApp status says learning since many, many years, right? So I love that about you guys, about us all.
The curiosity, about learning of how they are doing things and why they do things without that judgment of, bringing that.
Yeah, and it's not who's best or how
Exactly.
can I do better, it's how can I do different according to what they actually need, right?
Yeah, how can we add value based on our background and based on what we do best, and add value to everything that they already have.
Yeah, and also the example that our boss, our inspiration, always says, the only thing you cannot be is in your comfort zone, right? So that keeps us moving, right? Because it's an example.
There's no movement in your comfort zone, right?
Right.
And we like movement.
We like movement.
We literally work with movement, so we need to, And and also you were talking about the local guy. You were talking about how we needed to be closer and all that. And there's an expression which actually is quite funny, because we use it in English in our countries here, who are not here in Brazil, in Latin America. We use a lot the word local heroes, which in the US it's mentioned a lot, like the SMEs, right? The small and medium companies, right? But to be quite honest, I'm quite fond of the word local heroes. So I'm going to keep it to local heroes for the time being. And I hope we can, expand that culture, because it sounds powerful,
Sounds
doesn't
right.
it? Sounds right. Sounds right. Not even powerful. Sounds right, right? And what do we see as local heroes? In this ecosystem of logistics, how do you see the local heroes? What are they for you guys? How do you see them?
Yeah. Well, for us is that medium-sized guy. He has a decision. He's a decision maker. He's an expert in his business. He's an expert in his area, in his region where he is located. In U.S. is mostly, especially because of the size of the country. And unfortunately, the way things are moving with the global players, they are not necessarily seen, but we see them, right? Because we ourselves are local heroes. We are mid-size, small. We like to cater for whatever needs you have, regardless if it is a pallet, a box, or a container. So we see them as our peers. Mm-hmm. We see them and we want to just help them.
Yeah. Something that you can build together, right? You can
Absolutely.
actually find your
Count
own.
on us.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about the relationships and the connectivity that they have with all the local vendors, with the BCOs that are part of their regions, with they're connected with. They actually make the freight move. They develop that region. They help that region to continue to grow, to bring new businesses, connecting BCOs with other companies internationally, and so they play that key role in the development of that region that they're part of.
In that sense, even the larger multinationals in logistics, they have their own challenges in getting their local hero approach, right? Their local hands and all that. It's how do you get there? We also see eye to those guys who want to keep it local, right? So it's everything about, and the term actually had one thing that it kind of referred as if it was the super specialist top guy, specialist top guy on whatever it is, but not necessarily, right? Sometimes it might be that small guy who's starting up a business and wants to tend to this one customer that they have and wants to bring up a solution, right? It can be very small.
No, absolutely. Actually, the owner of Craft, always told us, the smaller with potential to grow, the better. Because you're going to build that history together with them. He always said that to us. So it's, for me, it's that's what we want. We want somebody that is starting, that is growing, has the blood in the eyes to grow, and we're going to help you. Come on, let's go together.
Yeah,
right?
come on over.
We love that.
Yeah, and when you see all these dynamics, and we position ourselves as local heroes, yes. And when I look at those guys, they're there, as you were saying, they were connecting to the BCO, they're connecting to the vendor, they're connecting to the customs, local customs, whatever detail they need to be done there, whatever it is, and also to the trends of the market, right? So I see there's more of this happening here, more of this industry, so I'll go after that. They are, in a way, also connecting to other local heroes, right? So they're connecting to that BC, to that producer who's a local hero. They're connecting to that airline who's a local hero, right? Who can be a global hero, but there's also the local airline that sometimes you also do, I don't know, the final mile with, right? So what I see from what you're saying and from the pillars you build is you can actually position yourself in the middle of this, in a neutral manner, like, let's put everybody on this table, right? Who do you have on your table that we can put together and build something greater than ourselves, right?
I think I have a great example to give, something personally that I experienced when I first arrived in the US. With some friends from the business, we decided to basically open up an association. And the whole purpose of that association was to connect local heroes at that time in Miami. So we're talking about now here business owners that started their business 20 years ago in Miami, and you have multiple from similar nationalities, and they never talk to each other. They didn't even know each other. Us, in that neutral position, doing business with most of them, we decided to say, hey, you know what? There's opportunity for everyone in this market. So now why not help each other out? So some of them, they have better capabilities in air freight. Some of them have better capabilities in e-commerce. Some others, we're more into the domestic business. And then you also have the verticals. So one was more focused on the pharmaceuticals, refrigerated cargo. So it was so beautiful actually to see how nicely it came together. The need that existed of those local heroes to not only interconnect with vendors and customers that they need for their own business, but also how they can collaborate and work together to make it stronger, a stronger supply chain, a stronger,
and create this platform that it's not diverse opinions don't generate conflict. They generate impulse, right?
They actually, the funniest thing is probably half of that group compete with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
They're working within the same environment, the same companies, and they still helping each other out with the challenges that they face on a daily basis.
Yeah, and then they make 1 + 1 become 5. Right?
Yeah. And I think that's what we're all about. Yeah. Finding those opportunities, and creating that connectivity. Yeah, exactly.
And surfing that wave, the most beautiful example of what this group became is when we had the flooding in the southern part of Brazil. Mm-hmm. This group came together with donations. So one guy landed the warehouse, the other one had trucks that bring the cargo in. Yeah. The other one was a customs house broker. He fought with Brazil authority to allow this to go without license, because we didn't have time to get license.
You have even the embassy involved.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, even the embassy.
It was beyond their borders, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And we came together, all of them came together, and we shipped a bunch of containers.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
It's so much beyond any borders, isn't it?
And this is connecting.
Yeah.
We're just connecting dots.
Yeah.
And to think that this started nearly out of, again, curiosity and building connections and building a network within the Brazilian community, turning to so much more, with time, and it was just a spark that was needed, and then the group members created to what it is today. So nobody's solely responsible for it. It was just a small spark that created the whole thing.
So you create the spark that kind of fuels this living organism that kind of spreads around, right?
Yeah, so I'll definitely not take full credit for this. So there's other people that was involved. I was also part of it, of creating that spark. I was part of that spark. But again, I think this is a great example of what we want to do, not only in Miami, but in Chicago, where I live today, and then in Jersey, in LA, where we're expanding now. So our goal is to make this in every local region in the US.
You were set up, you created a new spark, and then you made the flow happen, right?
Yeah.
You know, and now, well, I'm thinking of elements here, so making something larger than yourselves. From there, how do you see yourselves as bridges for global intelligence in a way, you know, to create something new, or not necessarily new, or better, or
when you think about the United States, right, the largest economy in the world, is where the heart beats, right? Everything there pulses, and is a New York minute, right? You have to, everything starts and finishes, everything starts or growth or fail or very quickly, and we are there, right? We see things happening as they are coming to life, and we can share this with all our network, all our vendors, our customers. So that is how we think that being the largest economy in the world, where things happen, just to be able to communicate and share with everybody.
You literally take the pulse, and you know, see where to take the impulse from there. You know, from everybody, from doing things like you did. Yes, you do deserve the credit. Beautiful.
And to add to this, I think, you know, when you look at all this testing, the environment, and different companies trying different things, how can artificial intelligence add to our business? How can the technology, the systems in place work in our favor? So you have extremes in the US, where you have companies that are going all digital and losing all the approach, the personal touch to the business. And then you have companies that is literally looking the other way and pretending this doesn't exist, and just staying with the way they've been doing business for 30 years. So you see both extremes happening at the same time, from the mom and pops to the medium size to the big guys. It's incredible how even within the larger companies, they still experience those extremes. So that tells us where the gaps are, what the needs are, because our customers are facing those challenges like live.
Yeah.
So this is an incredible opportunity for Craft.
You were talking about technology, AI, and how definitely a lot is changing, right? We all know what's going to happen. I mean, we all don't know what's going to happen from here, right? Because it's limitless. It's like we see no edges now to the world. It's like, right? So,
and the most challenging thing is the ethics about it. How far can you go?
Yeah.
How far should you go?
Yeah.
It's very, that's very...
Yeah, there are different layers
Yes.
to all of it, of course. But what do you think the future of global logistics? Is it going to be more about technology, now what we're talking about, or people?
Well, for me, logistics is about people. Our business is a person to person. And actually there was a very old stats when I lived in US. First time I lived in US was in 1991. I was a co-op student in a IT company, in a chemical company. And and the one thing that they always said, what was it?
No, you're saying that is it about technology or people?
Right.
And then back in 91.
Right. Back in 91, we always said that it is 55% of the business are closed among friends. Friends, not companies, not brands. It's all about friendship. And to date, I believe that this is true. The business is closed based on trust. So if the technology is there, technology should be there, but if you don't have trust, and trust can only exist among people, you don't get it.
Exactly. How do you measure trust between technologies, right?
Yes.
Well, you measure the data, but how do you measure, I want to do business with you?
I believe you.
Yeah.
Right?
I believe
I
you.
believe you are going to have my back
Yeah.
if I need. That's only human,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. What about you?
Well, I think a relationship is everything, but I see technology as that's how I like to see it, and I'm honestly testing it myself. I'm again learning and trying to adjust, and how can technology help me get my job done more efficiently, faster? How can I produce more with the technology I have available for me? And I think that's the role that's going to play in our business. I think it's inevitable that it's going to turn more digital, but because it's going to become so much more efficient, so much more, it's going to be better. But that won't, it cannot come at a cost of the relationship. And I think that's where people sometimes are going to one side or the other. And I think it's a complement. It's going to work together. So it's going to be digital, and it's going to continue to be driven by relationships.
Yeah. I think the digital part, it's bring more details to life, details that perhaps we were missing because there's only so much that the human mind can tackle at once. But then it brings all those details to life. But then the beauty of any business done by people, right? For movement, for all that, is in the connections. So it goes back to everything that we were saying, right? So I guess the answer is there, right? Technology is like a means to an end, right?
Yeah,
which is bringing more connections together.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's a forever involvement. We're always evolving, and it's gonna inevitably get to our business sooner or later. I think depending on the industry you are in, it gets there first, and then other industries experience that later. I think the time for logistics to get more technology involved, it's coming, and it's accelerating super fast.
Yeah.
I think going back to the U.S. Market per se, I personally been in the U.S. for nearly 10 years now, and I see a huge shift 5 years ago. So 10 years ago when I first landed in the U.S., I was surprised of people actually picking up the phone and making bookings over their phone with steamship lines. They used to call and wait for half an hour to get somebody on the phone and make a booking. That was happening in the US, even though the technology was there. And then it was a dry cut. COVID happens. And after COVID, it took months, and you could not talk to people over the phone anymore. Everything had to be digital. So that was my first extremes that we talked about earlier, where you know what works and what doesn't. So to me, that happened in the U.S. 5 years ago, about 5 years ago.
But then at the same time, I hear about you guys all the time, how you're actually meeting people face to face there, and how valuable that is. And some people, they're not even getting those visits anymore, right? They're like, humans are made for human connection. They're social beings, right? In the end of it, we think we're not. We think it's easier to just text things away. But then when we meet a good friend and we sit, I don't know, in a bar, in a meeting room, it doesn't matter, and we have a nice conversation, you're like, oh, it feels so good to be alive, isn't it? Yeah. You don't have that sense with replying a message, right?
Yeah. But I think the example I was giving, and I think, Bruno, you can complement it, when you go to that side of the business and seeing that extreme, but it was not just the extreme. So how we ourselves do business today with those vendors, it's all through the relationships that you hold for how many years?
Absolutely. In the steamship carrier business, for instance, they are, because of the scale of their business, I understand. It's totally understandable for me, but it's very hard to have a person on the phone. You have a problem, or you have a doubt, or you have a concern, the messaging is not going to help me out.
No, you need to hold actual conversations, right? Yeah. And how can you learn things without holding conversations?
Yeah.
Because it's usually in the heat of the moment. I mean, we had a few questions here written down, and then what we're talking about is just what feels right?
Yeah.
So
one of the, as Bruno said, one of the differentials we offer today to our customers is I can pick up the phone and call a carrier.
Yeah.
They will answer me.
Yeah.
But that's not I'm blessed because I came from the industry. I had 20 years working in the steamship carrier business, so that helps me out and helps me to help our customers, right?
Yeah.
But it's not common ground. This is not common ground.
By knowing you're human.
Yes, right.
And that's only possible because it also goes both ways.
Right.
So the fact that they call us and ask for our help when they need our help, we're more afraid for specific places, and we help them. Technology will never allow you to do that.
Yeah,
So
you're right. Yeah, you're right. So I think it's the best time ever to be a learn-it-all, right?
Yeah.
Rather than a know-it-all, isn't it? Because the pace of change is so. I think only the ones that can actually follow up with the pace of changes are the ones who are gonna, be somewhere, with that. So Bruno, with that in mind, what message would you say right now for a local hero in your market, in the USA market, that hasn't met craft yet, or that wants to build a new business, or what would you tell a local hero? What message do you have for them?
Well, the most important thing for me is we are a local hero, right? In our minds, we are a local hero, and we see you. You guys can come to us. We know your pain. We have been there, have done that. We suffered the same. We know the challenges. So let's get together, and we'll get it out of it. We'll show a way. We'll find a way, right? Together. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what a message would be. Yes.
Beautiful.
And for me personally, I think the message I want to say that to me, it's never transactional. It's always a relationship. It's always a learning experience to deal with a new niche, a new market, a new region. So I want to learn, and I want to add value to you where I can, and let you add value to my business where I can. So that's the only way to build a business, is helping each other out. So that's all we offer.
Yeah. And one other last thing that I would say is that come to us, because we are not going to be talking about what we want. We're going to be talking about what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They're going to be our teachers, right?
Yes.
And then when we teach, we learn. When we learn, we teach. It's all a very beautiful cycle, that has no frontiers. Fantastic. Fantastic. So guys, I guess this is it for now. I could be talking for much, much longer, but you see how many people we have around to be talking to today, and we could be talking for all the 3 days of the fair, I think, right? And we're gonna have lots more podcasts here. We're gonna have some in English, some in Spanish, some in Portuguese, but we'll have it all with subtitles because the brilliance of AI, see?
There we go.
Yeah, enabling connections. And here we are with another craft talk. We're done for today, and thank you guys.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.